Hey, it's Josh and Garth. What's going on, everybody? It's nice to vlog on the outer display of a Galaxy Z Flip once again, and this is the biggest the flex window has ever been. We'll talk about that more in a little bit, but first, before this real-world camera test, I need you to pick me up. All right. That's right, we're shifting over to the Galaxy Z Flip 7 after just finishing up with my week 1 on the Galaxy Z Fold 7, which, by the way, I want to thank many of you who came to hang out on that video. And if you haven't seen it yet, I have links appearing above and below that you can hit up after we're done here with the cameras of the Flip. Now, while I'm going to go through my thoughts on this camera system that is admittedly very familiar compared to at least the last couple of generations of Flip foldables from Samsung, I do think there are some tools and some features that are always worth visiting each generation when more people, maybe new people, might be potentially picking up their first folding phone. And historically, the Flip has been the phone that people tend to go for over the Fold. This year, though, that trend seems to be shifting. Regardless, I will have a general thought at the start of this video. This is still a very good Flip foldable, and it, alongside any other available Flip smartphone, deserves consideration because the form factor is still unique, it's still interesting, and it's actually practical for numerous reasons. The camera usage remains one of those reasons. Smoking Tiger Cafe and Bread Factory, I believe some of them are also called, because the coffee is really good. The tea, like this hojicha, is also very good. They also have what is called salt bread. If any of you have ever been to Seoul or anywhere in Korea where they have salt bread, it's like their version of a mix between a croissant and a pretzel. It's fantastic, honestly. Keep an eye down in the bottom there. I am going to talk about, or rather list, what kind of lenses I'm using, if there are any modes that I'm using, like log recording a little bit later. But this camera test is probably going to be less about the raw capabilities of the hardware and even the software, since it's pretty similar to previous editions, or rather last year's Galaxy Z Flip 6. Really, it's going to be about the experience, because there's some subtle changes, especially when it comes to just using the flex window as the viewfinder for vlogging shots or portraits like this. But before we dive into all of that, let's zoom out a little and have a look at the phone itself. Despite going thin and light with the Galaxy Z Fold 7 this year, the Flip instead kept most of its design aspects in terms of its thickness and its build. It seems that Samsung instead wanted to take as much advantage of the already established footprint and bring even more screen to the Flip than ever before, and that comes in the form of this year's Flex window. This is the largest it has ever been, giving it an eye-catching appeal upon first glance. The screen extends past the camera hardware now, and there are hardly any bezels to deal with around it. Customization on this outer display is sure to be a fun way for people to express themselves, and I always look forward to spending some time personalizing these Flips whenever I get them. To be fair though, I just haven't had a whole lot of time to dive into those features. And it's not like there are truly any major differences when it comes to how the Galaxy Z Flip 7 operates when it is closed. Having more screen real estate, a bit more to look at, certainly makes everything from the home screens to the supported apps that are able to work on here a little bit easier on the eyes, and it does make everything look pretty fresh, including shooting with the rear cameras when using the Flex display as a viewfinder. But functionally, this is basically the same Flex window as before. To be fair, Samsung is trying to support the core experience here as much as possible, including giving this screen higher refresh rates and higher peak brightness for viewing under broad daylight, but the stock software still only supports a handful of apps opening fully on the outer display, and there are some extra steps needed in order to open any other app on here. I still kind of see why this is the case, as Samsung doesn't often go all in on a feature unless they're sure that it will perform or work well under some theoretical margin of error. Basically, if an app would look or feel weird on the Flex window, they'd rather not officially say it is supported on here. Instead, they'll highlight apps like Maps and WhatsApp and YouTube. So while I do have Multi-Star installed on here the same way that you would get the apps on the Flex window in previous Flips, and I do dabble in it sometimes on the outer display, honestly, I'm sticking mainly to the apps that are already supported by the Labs page, with less of an expectation that by using them here, I'll need to open the phone anyway to get a better experience. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of Beverly Hills for this first part of the camera test. Not usually a place that I would come to very often, but we're meeting up with some friends and I figured I would take advantage. Rodeo Drive. Just walking through this area, you feel like you can't afford anything. But it is beautiful, and one of the main places in Los Angeles to be able to walk around and get some nice photos and videos. Speaking of opening the phone, we're dealing with a larger overall flip this year, and I think that's a good thing. The flip has been widened a little bit, making for a larger flex window as we've been talking about, but also making for a full footprint when the phone is opened up that resembles a Galaxy S25 Plus. It's as if Samsung finally wanted to try making their foldables feel as close to bar phone counterparts wherever possible, and that has led to better reported pre-order numbers than in previous years. The more classic big screen experience on the flip has been perfectly fine and as expected, even with a couple of changes made to the internals that some of you might have some strong opinions on. I am now here at one of my favorite places to even get these types of videos done, the LA Arboretum. So we're kicking it old school today with a little bit of a walk in a lovely area. I'm gonna get some nice photos and videos, hopefully of some ducks as well. And with all of that said, I am teed up with this Chagachino. Let's go ahead and do it. Part of the reason why I wanted to come back to the Arboretum to still do this video is because it's a nice day out. It's actually been quite hot and warm over the last few days, and then below 80 degrees felt like the perfect time for me to just go outside and get some pictures and just have a little bit of solitude for a while I'm getting my content. But it's on a warm day like this that I could actually take the opportunity to talk about the whole processor of it all when it comes to the Galaxy Z Flip 7. Okay, we are working with the Exynos 2500 here, and as many of my colleagues and peers have pointed out in their videos on the Flip that have been coming out over the last 7 to 10 days, you're probably not going to notice that much of a difference most of the time when it comes to the performance of the phone. It's still going to operate just like a high-end flagship will, and there's no reason to believe that the Galaxy Z Flip 7 still won't be a good companion for you to use on the daily. There are a couple of quirks though that I have to just point out as I have been using this phone more and more over the last week or so. It's in certain situations that I'm actually noticing that there's a bit of a slowdown compared to a phone that might have the Snapdragon 8 Elite, and that of course is going to be the main example, the Galaxy Z Fold 7, its sibling in the Z lineup this year that does sport that processor, as opposed to the Exynos 2500 here. Certain things like opening a link that would open Reddit just takes that maybe quarter to half second longer that I just perceive, and I haven't actually done any scientific testing on this, but it's just sort of my anecdotal evidence and just something that I've experienced when using the Z Flip 7. And it's on sunny days like this, especially when the phone is plugged into my Android Auto and my Ioniq 5 and the sun is blaring down on it, that I also noticed the phone gets a bit hotter than I remember it being in the past. To be fair, I'm not actually getting that warning when I'm getting these photos and videos right now, but I do feel that the phone is getting a little bit warmer, a little bit faster compared to before. Again, anecdotal evidence. I haven't done any actual scientific testing to prove all of this. It's just something that I'm feeling, and that does matter. You might have noticed in some shots here that I do have a case on the Galaxy Z Flip 7. Despite having a form factor that is often easier to manipulate compared to the Fold, the Flip is still managing to slip about in my hands this year still. A good case for protecting a phone that I'm trying to use for all kinds of work, play, and content creation will also provide the kind of grip that makes everything feel more secure, and that's where the sponsor of this video comes in. Shouts out to Subcase for really protecting both of my Samsung foldables with their Unicorn Beetle grip series, which I have for both of the phones. If you're interested in full coverage along with some extra perks in your phone cases, I have links for you to check out the UB grips that I'm showing off here in the description and in the pinned comment below. What's really great about this lineup of cases is how the outer displays of both the Flip and the Fold are taken into consideration, as the UB grip comes with 9H tempered glass screen protectors integrated in the front half of the setup. This screen protector guards especially the outer display of the Galaxy Z Fold 7 from scratches when I'm trying to use the phone a little bit more like the Flip, like when I'm propping up the cameras here for easy photo and video capture. Usually when you do that, the front screen is on a surface that could scratch it, and this screen protector covers me for that. And that is on top of all of the protection that the rest of the phones clearly get when using a UB grip. And speaking of the backs of these cases, MagSafe compatible areas make further accessorizing possible with easy connections to things like wireless chargers. features. And then both of these cases actually have one of my favorite features, and that is a built-in kickstand, both here on the Galaxy Z Flip 7 and of course here on the Galaxy Z Fold 7, which makes it even easier to prop up this larger display for viewing things like on YouTube and across social media comfortably. You can see the different colors that the UB grip cases come in, with one on the Fold still letting the phone's color stand out, and then the other that I'm showing off here completely changing the colorway if that's what you want to do, but there are plenty to choose from, so you can get a splash of style alongside the top tier 20 feet drop protection and mil-spec certification. It's certainly better having a case like this on, not just for the textured materials that support a secure grip, but also I'm sure that the phone will withstand any elements I put them through with this protection on. Once again, I have links in the description and in the pinned comment below for you to check out these cases for yourself. And I want to give another thanks to Subcase for protecting my foldables and for sponsoring this video. Okay, full disclosure, there was like a bit of a lunch thing with friends and whatnot in Beverly Hills. I got a few pictures of it, you can see them right now, but if I'm on the west side of Los Angeles, I am going to stick around for a bit and go places that I wouldn't normally go to, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now with friends. Hello! We're gonna hit up a great Japanese market over here on the west side called Yama Sushi, and this is where we are going to use the log footage right now using the Z Flip 7. Log footage, we'll explain what that is later, but enjoy a little bit of B-roll of this place. Yeah, I'm going a little bit more into like a more advanced feature for video content capture here by showing log footage, but that's because it's worth knowing how Samsung is still injecting some pro-level tools, or perhaps to use their terminology, ultra features, into a phone like the Flip. I'm sure most of you already know, but I'll just quickly say that log footage captures a flatly colored video that gives you room and freedom to apply all the aspects of post-production effectively in a video editor like DaVinci Resolve after the fact. You might be interested in making the footage look exactly how you want it, whether it be through highlight and shadow control or through specific color grading. Is it something that I would use often? Probably not daily, but if the Flip is the only camera I have on me and I want to get a good shot of, let's say, the Galaxy Watch 8 Classic on my wrist for upcoming content, log footage requires a little more work later on to manipulate, but it gives me more room to align the phone footage with whatever I capture on my other cameras. But onto more everyday applications. On the video front, you do have 4K video recording on all of the cameras, all three of them, since this one does not come with a telephoto lens. And well, that's just going to be par for the course when it comes to the Flip foldable compared to the Fold. The front-facing camera, or rather the punch hole camera here on the inner display, the main display, again, 4K video recording, which is nice. One thing that is missing in this one also, not just the telephoto, but it is also missing that autofocus in the ultra-wide lens. Meaning that your more, I guess, traditional macro shots are not necessarily going to be possible here. I say necessarily because, well, you can get pretty close with the main 50 megapixel sensor and lens, and then go into the 2x, which does kind of get you pretty close. It's not too shabby getting close-ups of certain things. So macro or no macro, let me know if that's something that you definitely want in your phones in the comments down below. So while I'm seeing my old quack buddies over here, I will say getting too close to them is not something I tend to do, which is why a zoom lens often can be a good thing. I also saw some birds around here, and certainly some birding would be nice with a good telephoto lens to quickly get like a really close shot that is also clear. That's the thing. You're not going to be getting the clear zooms on here because without a telephoto lens, you are supposed to be cropping into the main sensor. It's a 50 megapixel, so going 2 times is fine, but once you get over to what is the max of 10 times and you get a 4 times and a 10 times button there easily, yeah, you are going to get less quality there. Not quite the watercolors that you might see beyond that 10 times on other phones, and if it was available here, I'm sure that would be the case as well. But still, it's what you get, and I guess something is better than nothing. There are also other tools that Samsung provides in the Gallery app. I mean, some obvious ones that you probably are aware of are the the object eraser is what Samsung calls it, but there is also the audio eraser. So these two tools are actually making it easier to just get good content done, or to just clean up any photos, and in this case videos, that you might want to just have like better audio in the case of the audio eraser. Alright, walking over to that waterfall. There's also a bit of wind, and that waterfall should be getting louder and louder as I'm getting closer to it. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this clip so that you can hear how the audio eraser actually helps things out. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this clip so that you can hear how the audio eraser actually helps things out as I get closer and closer to this waterfall. Can you hear me clearly? Let me know what you think about this feature in the comments while I go ahead, turn this thing around, and try to get some good slow-mo in 2 different ways.
And you know, this is what I mean by operational experience, being able to use the tools that are provided. Samsung has done a pretty good job in all of their phones of making tools available in case you don't actually have the time to access them. The instant slow-mo, in my opinion, is a great example of that because you may not actually have the wherewithal or even the time, honestly, to be able to get into the app, go over to the more page and then hit slow-mo, and we'll make it so that your 4K video could actually become a slow-mo video just by going into the gallery and pressing and holding on it.
Now, you might notice I'm not talking too much about the raw photo quality on the Galaxy Z Flip 7 because honestly, it actually hasn't changed a whole lot since last year's phone and even kind of the phone before it. I mean, sure, there is a different processor and thus the computational photography might have shifted, but I haven't really noticed that a whole lot when looking back at the photos. Like with any smartphone, the phone will struggle when the lighting conditions aren't ideal, and thus you've seen in some indoor situations, even getting selfies with the rear camera and the flex window doesn't really yield what you would call perfect results. The thing is, I'd actually argue that compared to like getting a waiter or a stranger to try their hand at getting a good photo of me and the group of friends, being able to prop up the rear cameras so that you still have a fighting chance of getting a well-captured memory actually contributed to the memory, the moment itself, and kept the party going. So what exactly constitutes perfect in these scenarios will differ depending on your perspective. I sent that picture of our group to someone who couldn't make it for the celebration, and they said that they loved it, so doesn't that count?
It's on a foldable like this that you are able to have some extra possibilities when it comes to filming and getting pictures and whatnot. It's easier to get selfies when you have the ability to prop up the phone and whatnot. And while the practical use case scenarios for just everyday people may or may not benefit from all of that, certainly the world of content creation is very much mainstream. So a phone like this that allows me to do something like this, it is actually one of the main reasons why I enjoy phones like this. You may not necessarily be a content creator, if you want to use the word influencer, sure, but there are going to be times where you just want to be able to get something that looks nice on your social media and without having to use extra tools or any extra bits and bobs in order to achieve that look. Having a foldable that can prop up like this, it actually just makes it so that you can get that shot effectively, easily, and it looks pretty good.
Overall, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7 is providing a slightly enhanced version of the same camera experience previous flips have tried to introduce to more people these last few years. That is to say, the form factor still adds a lot to a set of hardware that might not be particularly updated or might not be performing exceptionally, but the possibilities are still abundant. Given pre-order sales figures, Samsung is clearly hitting a stride with this year's phones, and despite some potential mishaps here and there, this might still be the year to try them out if you've not given foldables a chance yet. And if you do find yourself in that situation, I've been leaving links to check out any part of the new Samsung foldable lineup in the description and in the pinned comments, and you can also head down there to get further protection for these phones courtesy of this video sponsor Subcase, so thanks again to them. Let me know any of your thoughts on all of the pictures and videos that I shared in this camera test and the various ways that I was showing that you can get them with this phone. But from there, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Please take care of yourselves and each other and enjoy your tea, everybody.